All right. So there's a couple qualities to a for sale by owner conversation that we need to be really good at. And when I moved away from like, hey, the perfect script, I started looking at what are the best questions? What are the best conversations? And then how do we create the outcome? So when I stayed away from script and I started teaching people the principles of the conversation, it seemed to get a lot better. So let's just talk about real fast a couple of the main things that if you have these conversations with a for sale by owner, you will have great success. Okay, so conversation number one is really asking the seller to tell you how they are working with a real estate agent. I think that's a very simple conversation. Hey, I'd just like to know, how are you planning on working with real estate agents? And let them talk. Then say, well, we're going to try it on our own for 30 days. Well, we're going to offer a buyer's agent a commission. Well, we're not going to list, no problem, right? And so there's just a simple opportunity because almost all of the for sale by owners will offer you money to sell the house. They'll say, I will give you X percent, X dollars if you bring a buyer to buy my house. That is a very powerful offer. And we as listing agents, we kind of dismiss it and we're almost a little weird about it. We should be like, that's great. Thank you. Let me make a note of that, right? I'm excited about that. So therefore I can keep you on my list of properties for potential buyers. We don't, so we almost like dismiss it because we're trying to get the listing. Be careful with that. So conversation number one is just asking, how are you guys working with real estate agents? I'm a local agent. I'm successful. I work with a lot of buyers and sellers. So I just want to know. Okay. Number two is the promise. This promise, I promise my buyers that I will not only show them properties actively listed with an agent, but any potential property for sale and available. When you make that promise, what you basically did is one of two things. Number one, you gain the respect of the for sale by owner because they appreciate that. And then number two, you actually can pick them up as a buyer for their next property. Because they're like, oh, you're the type of agent that hustles, that does the extra work, that goes the extra mile. So there's an opportunity just by impressing them with that promise. Okay. Okay. Now let's get into the two most important things, which is really motivation, right? If we go back to the statistics, right, for my San Diego County, 25% of them roughly will list with a real estate agent. 25% of them will will sell on their own. And 50% of them won't do anything. They'll literally take the posting down. They'll sit there for a year. That basically means that 50% of the time, they're not really motivated. They don't have a clear reason to take action. And it is in our ability to have and ask the motivational questions that will determine who we should really give some attention and focus to. Okay, so motivational questions is the conversation of, if you sold this property, where would you go next? That is the motivational conversation. Secret tip is that you actually have that conversation and go deep with people. Right? And it's like, great, tell me where you guys planning, where are you guys going to? I love your neighborhood. Where are you guys planning to move to? Where are you headed? What are you doing? Right? And then usually they'll give you a short answer because they're on guard. Usually a seller strategically tries to hide their motivation. So it actually takes a little bit of skill to pull it out because intuitively a seller says, they'll say I'm not motivated, because they don't want to reveal motivation because they would think that that's a sign of weakness for a seller. So they kind of play this game with you. So then you say, well, so if you can charm them into the conversation of where they're moving to, what they're trying to accomplish, that is usually the best path to success. Okay, if someone is highly motivated, then I'm going to get my booty over there ASAP. They're highly motivated. That means that 30-day window is real, right? And it could be less. Now, they may not tell you that, but as successful real estate agents, we understand that when there's high motivation, we can get price reductions with our sellers. When there's high motivation, they're gonna do something pretty quickly. So getting their true motivation is essential, and that's just a conversation, okay? The second major one is the reason why they are doing it themselves. So that great question, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask, why did you decide to just sell it yourself versus just hire an agent? Okay, now, if they tell you what the reason why was in the very beginning of the call, please honor that and stick with that and don't ask it a second time, okay? That's just, you know, kind of rookie move, right? We asked all these questions in the beginning, they told us, and then we ask them again, and we're like, ooh, whoops, I forgot. Okay, but now just want to remind you, there's the scale of committedness. Again, what we're doing is we're in our mind qualifying whether or not this is someone we should give a lot more of our time to, or whether or not there's someone we should just hang up on and delete and get rid of. If they have zero motivation, right, and they have a high level of committedness, you know, they're a retired engineer, so they have no motivation, right? Well, if I sell my house for this amount, then, you know, I'll go do this. And then they make you stupid offers, and they're like, if you could sell my house for this much, I'll give you 4%. You're like, well, you're still 10% overpriced in your assumption, you knucklehead. So like, of course, right? If I can sell you a house for $1 million, I would, right? But it's worth 500, right? So it's fun to, but anyways, going back, if they had real motivation, even if they wanted a false number, and if they had a low level of committedness to doing it themselves, I'd still go over there. I'd still go set the appointment, because the motivation trumps everything, and a low commitment to doing them themselves makes them susceptible to listing their property, right? So we've got to make sure that A, we're good with the motivational conversation, and then B, why are they doing it themselves? Be clear about the scale of committedness, maybe ask a few more clarifying questions to understand how that works. And then boom, the last piece to the conversation is booking a listing appointment, not just a buyer preview. Booking a listing appointment, okay? And the way to do the listing appointment is to say, look, would you at least be open to the possibility of hiring me if A, I could put more money in your pocket, and B, that I can prove that would be a better experience with me than doing it yourself or even hiring another agent. If it was crystal clear that it would be I can make you more money and it'd be a better experience with me than doing it yourself or hiring another agent, would you just at least be open to the possibility to hire me? You now have a listing appointment. I'm not asking you if you're going to list with me. I'm not telling you you're going to list with me. I'm just saying, would you at least explore the conversation? I would be willing to, you know, spend a bunch of time doing hours of research looking at how I can sell your home for the highest possible price. I'd be willing to create a custom marketing plan of exactly what I would do to help you sell your home for more money you could on your own, or even hire another agent. I'd be willing to spend multiple hours of my life to come over and share with you how I can create a better outcome and experience for you and your family, as long as you guys are at least open to the possibility. Fair enough, right? Okay, so again, there's the qualities and the elements of a conversation. Now, if we're talking about scripting, it's just, you know, if you look at any one of the scripts, they all kind of fall into the same categories. They all have kind of the same series of questions. I just want you guys focused on the outcome of the conversations, not necessarily the words, right? Because there's no perfect script. There's just the right conversations. All right, so was that helpful? Any questions, concerns, comments, emotional overloads, freakouts?